Hello, everybody. Hello, Dancing with the Stars fans. I am Daniel Montgomery, Gold Derby senior editor, here with our fellow senior editor, Joyce Eng, and our contributor, Jeffrey Kare. We are here to talk about week 3 of Dancing with the Stars. On Monday night, it was Most Memorable Year Night, which was memorable for many reasons. I think, because we both, Joyce and I have both written about this over the course of the week, so I'll go to you first with it. That perfect score, which I think is the earliest perfect score in the history of the show, in week 3. What did you think about that for Juan Pablo Di Pace's samba?
I looked this up, and it actually tied with Janelle Parrish's perfect. I think it was 40 back then. So yeah, this is the earliest they've ever given out a perfect score. I was gonna say 30, but since there's been 40s and they would just say perfect score. Yeah, like that was a good dance, but I just think it's way too early to be busting out 3 10s, because even like in the past when you've seen some really great dances early on and the judges praise them, on and on and on, like they still hold back. Like they still it's just like 3 9s or something, which I think is still reasonable for, something this early. And I don't think that was like a 30 dance. Like there's also something about him. Like he's a great dancer, but he's just not connecting. I don't know if it's just me, but he's not connecting with me. Like it's just like something is missing from that performance. But it was a great samba. He did great samba rolls, but I disagree that it was the best samba ever.
Yeah, I sort of felt the same. Like, it didn't totally surprise me from Carrie-Anne and Bruno, but Len busting out that 10 was like weird. Like, especially like he was a stickler. Like Alexis Wren did this contemporary routine and she got an 8 from Len, which was just like crazy to me that he would be so tough on her and just like bring out the 10 for Juan Pablo. I agree. Personally, I thought it was more of a 9.
Yeah.
What did you think about it, Jeffrey?
Well, yeah. In fact, I remember that during our group chat on the night of the show, Milo went on way before Juan Pablo, and I even remember saying that I would not surprise me if Milo ends up receiving the first perfect score of the season, and then after Pablo got his perfect score, that pretty much threw my prediction out the window. But in any case, I thought Juan Pablo, his routine Monday night was excellent, so I'd say he was deserving of the perfect score.
I personally thought like he was probably one of my top 4 favorite performances of the night, but I think I personally would have put Milo above him. I would have put Alexis above him. I thought she had this great contemporary routine that was incredibly
Or they could have
emotional.
just had them tie again.
Yeah, it would have been, this time it would have been a 4-way tie if they'd given them all 9s.
Yeah.
Because it would have been, Juan Pablo, then Tinashe, Milo, and Ivana Lynch, who all got 27s out of 30, which would be weird. I mean, it would certainly help us at Gold Derby, our prediction scores, because then 4 of us, 4 answers would be right for that. This is the first time anyone has been at the top of the leaderboard by themselves this season so far. Everything else has been ties. Well, going from best to worst, or not worse, let's talk about the elimination, because I don't think she's the worst. I think she was doing quite well, keeping up. She didn't seem like she was going to go like to the top 4 or 5, but I hoped she'd stay longer than this. Nancy McKeon, I almost called her Nancy Carrion. That was a couple of seasons ago that she got screwed. Nancy McKeon was eliminated with her partner Val Chmerkovskiy. Not too surprising to me. I think I was predicting that. She didn't have the lowest score, but she, Joe, Grocery Store Joe's just she's got the fans still. She's not going anywhere yet, it doesn't seem. What did you think about that elimination, Jeffrey?
Well, I agree with you. That wasn't too surprising to see Nancy go. I mean, I thought she at least did a pretty solid performance on her final, I guess, night out. But yeah, again, not too surprising though. In fact, another thing I remember saying in, I guess, the group chat, saying that if Grocery Store Joe doesn't even end up in jeopardy that night, I was literally gonna flip a table. But then what happened was who I believe, but no, what was more shocking to me was that Tinashe was in jeopardy with Nancy, and man, I really would have flipped the table if Nancy was the one eliminated, and thank goodness she wasn't. But yeah, well, I mean Tinashe, but with Nancy, yeah, again, not too surprising.
Yeah, I honestly don't think Tinashe was that far down. I think they just picked her as in jeopardy for scare factor, or maybe the powers. Like I'm always a conspiracy theorist about these sorts of things. Like maybe the powers that be or the producers see the votes coming in. They see that she doesn't have great fan support, so she's at risk of going home early at some point. So they wanted to call her in jeopardy to scare her fans and to keep her around.
Yeah, and that's
longer.
why they haven't put Grocery Store Joe in jeopardy yet, even if he is like ultimately hanging towards the bottom, because they don't want to encourage his fans to vote even more.
Yeah, especially for such a bland routine.
Yeah, I mean, Grocery Store Joe, and what I liked about him this week, he's not improving stylistically, I don't think, in any great way. I do think he's trying, and I do appreciate that. Like, there are some people who go out there and they just seem to kind of checked out. Yeah. Yeah, and especially him after getting low score after low score, he could be just checked out and just waiting to go home.
Yeah, like dancing is clearly not his thing, but he's trying, and that's all you can ask from him.
Yeah, and I think it's sweet even that he's trying, but yeah, I think his fans need to stop.
I think it will eventually catch up to it at some point, because like the top tier people are just going to keep pulling away, and then eventually all the middle of the pack people are gonna he will last longer than them, and they're going to be eliminated, and he's not gonna, even if he has more fan support than the other people, like they're still going to have the scores, and I don't think he can overcome that deficit with the votes. So I like his time is coming up soon. I don't think it's next week. But like he still hasn't cracked a 20 yet. So he's still hanging in the teens.
Yeah. How long do you think he has in the competition, Jeffrey? Do you think he's going this week? Do you think he's going to last 2 more weeks? Do you think we'll be seeing him in the top 4, wondering why he's still here?
I mean, I'd be surprised if he makes it as far as David Ross, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I have him in my first place ranking for eliminations next week, but I'm not too sure about it. I mean, he could just be safe yet again thanks to his fan base, but I mean, I guess maybe if not this week, maybe the following week, I guess, or week after that, since I say the ones most in danger of elimination right now are him, Mary Lou Retton, and John Schneider.
Yeah, I think I'm predicting, and it's sort of not a long shot prediction, but I think, because looking at the leaderboard, Joe Amabile was at the bottom, John Schneider was next to last, and then Nancy McKeon, who was eliminated, Bobby Bones after that. We know Joe and Bobby have strong fan bases, so they'll probably both be safe. And then Mary Lou Retton, who's somewhere in the middle of the pack, she's got a decent score buffer, but she was in the bottom 5 in the first week of the competition, and 3 of those women are now gone. And it just seems to me like they're just going to pick those off. And I worry, I hope Alexis Wren next week has the number 1 top score on the leaderboard, because otherwise I could see her being a surprise elimination, and then Joe.
She definitely has the making of an early shocking elimination, because she's a good dancer, but she can pull in the scores, but she might not have the fans no matter what.
Well, yeah, just ask Heather Morris
or Sabrina Ryan.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
And I do think, though, that it was great that she made it this far, because she got to give the most memorable year dance. And she had, Dancing with the Stars pulls out all the stops to get you to cry on this night. And it's sometimes kind of shameless. But in this case, I thought that really got, it was really heartbreaking what she went through with her mother in her last months, and then the fact that her mother was a big fan of the show, and watching her picture-in-picture have to watch that clip package while preparing to dance in just a second from then. I thought she was really outstanding. I think that hopefully will help her connect to the audience in a way that will carry her through longer. and that's, I think, something I think that, John Schneider, who I think is also vulnerable, I think, because he also had a very emotional dance too. I think he might be safe. I think he might get some fan support for that, where Mary Lou Retton, her most memorable
we can't relate to being an Olympic champion.
Yeah. And even if we could, it's not like she won gold medals, which is great triumph, and she had struggle leading up to it. She had a surgery on an injury, and she didn't know if she'd even be able to compete at the Olympics, which is tough. But it wasn't quite the kind of, as you said, relatable, story arc, in terms of getting the audience. And she went first. It just feels like someone the audience would quickly forget. I don't think they were going to forget Alexis. I don't think they were going to forget John necessarily, because of how emotional those stories were.
Yeah.
I think Mary Lou is probably the most in jeopardy, even though I think she's so excellent on the show.
I thought Monday night she gave her best performance yet.
Yeah, and she's been,
she's been very consistent. Like she's been good, but it's just like she's just in the middle of the pack, and it's so because you just have like the front runners who are killing it like every week, and then the mediocre guys who have the fan support and the personalities, and like she's a perfectly nice person on the show, as was Nancy McKeon and Danielle Umstead. But it's just like they haven't, like none of them have had like that standout breakthrough dance yet, and she really needs that next week. But I mean, it wouldn't even matter because the fan votes are from this week that they're using for next week. So she just needs to hope like her score next week is high enough.
Yeah, and speaking of some of the lower scoring guys, Bobby Bones had a contemporary dance, and I thought it was fine.
It was like he messed up in the middle there.
He's not. And I think it was Kare and Abu who said, "Oh, like your body is so good for contemporary," and I'm like,
everybody's body is good for contemporary.
And it just
there are no rules.
Yeah, it seemed it was a little clunky. Like it didn't have the especially coming after Alexis. And he didn't get as high a score as Alexis, but he still got a really high score, I think, for that contemporary. Which just goes to show you how easy it is to boost your
They
score.
definitely I hate now because back in the old days of dancing, they definitely had like a schedule of dances everyone did, and they alternate, and they made sure towards the end everyone performed the same dance styles. But now since they've started adding, jazz and contemporary, I don't know, was it season 12 or I don't know, in the teens somewhere, it's just everything is out the window. You have no idea what people are going to do. Some people have gone through the whole season without dancing a tango or just basic Latin or ballroom dances. And I feel now they're definitely tailoring assignments to what they think people might excel at. They purposely gave a samba to Juan Pablo because it's you're gonna do well at this, and they probably knew Alexis's story already. So that type of story really matches well with contemporary because it's so emotional and the dance is so lyrical.
Jive.
Yeah. So it's they knew what they were doing with the assignments, especially now that they just don't care about everyone completing the same dance styles anymore.
What did you think about Bobby's performance, Jeffrey?
Well, I thought his routine, while not the best, I thought it was very creative for what it was. But yeah, I guess he is someone I could see going home within the next couple or few weeks or so. But yeah, I thought I guess A for efforts, but maybe not so much for the overall routine.
Yeah, I think he'll survive. Because he's getting better scores as time goes on, unlike Joe, who's kind of still stalling under 20s. Has he even gotten a 7 yet? I don't know if he actually has.
I don't think so, because the first one was a 14, so that would just be 2-7.
2-7. That would have been 2 7s and a 0.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the fact
Because
that
he just got sixes this time.
yeah, it's really late. Like we're talking about it being really early in the competition for tens. It's really late to have not gotten out of the sixes. So he's kind of at a disadvantage, and I feel like if he keeps surviving, the judges are going to pick up on that, and just they're not going to take him out of the sixes unless he really earns it, because they don't want to boost him, against these other contestants if other contestants are going to be at risk as a result. So I think they're going to be like keeping him down.
He's just like on a different standard. It's really interesting because like obviously we've had like lesser dancers advance further in the competition than better dancers, but they were all better dancers than Joe. And they all improved somewhat, and he's improved, but it's like so incremental, and it's so, I think he's most importantly he's like lacking the confidence. And I mean, I understand that because he's not a performer like most of these people, but it's so interesting because he just really hasn't the switch hasn't gone off yet with him. So I don't know.
Yeah, he just doesn't seem to have the natural grace or rhythm. Like there's certain things that you can't teach, or at least you can't teach in like a couple of weeks. And so these other dancers, even surprisingly, it's like even Nancy McKeon, like she wasn't perfect, but her timing was great. Her musicality was great. She wasn't really giving a lot of hip action on a rumba this week, but otherwise that was like a solid dance. And Joe hasn't even gotten there yet. Even though he's trying. So I sort of worry that if he's going to be discouraged, and his fans are going to keep voting for him past the point where I think he would be like, okay, fans, you can stop voting for me. This is no longer fun.
Well, you know what they're doing next week? They're bringing Jordan from Bachelor in Paradise for his trio. So it's like just shameless.
Well, speaking of which, what are you looking forward to the most from the trios, Joyce?
I do not like that they're not pairing them up with just like other pros or troupe dancers. Like they're bringing in some like former champs and contestants, like like Amy Purdy, who I think they would have paired with Danielle had she lasted. And like Rashad is with DeMarcus, which is obvious, and Nastia is with Mary Lou, another obvious pairing. But yeah, there's 3 people who have not been on the show before who are partnered with couples, and Maddie Ziegler, who's on the Junior show, which is just cross promotion, and then a Harry Potter actress, Scarlett Byrne, is with Ivana. And then Jordan Kimball is with Joe. And I just think that is weird.
And it does seem kind of unfair to a certain degree. Like you've got some people who can dance.
Yeah.
And then you've got some randos who's like, what are they doing on the dance floor? And it's not going to help their dances any.
I don't understand. Like if you're just going to do like all former contestants, fine. And like even like I can live with Maddie Ziegler. But like what are Scarlett and Joe doing on the show?
Well,
so I'm looking forward to those dances. Like, what the hell are you doing?
What are you looking forward to, Jeffrey?
I guess I'm kind of looking forward to seeing Tinashe and Brandon and Amy Purdy performing "Hit Me With Your Best Shots." Well, to that song at least. I'm looking forward to, I guess, the Pasta Doble from DeMarcus and Lindsay with Rashad, and I guess I'm also curious to see Juan Pablo and Cheryl with Melissa Rycroft doing performing a cha-cha.
With that, we're all looking forward to the trios, and we're all sad for Nancy Kerrigan and
Kerrigan.
No, Nancy.
No.
I keep doing that. My goodness,
still sad about Nancy Kerrigan.
I'm still upset about Nancy Kerrigan. Nancy McKeon. All Nancy's look alike to me, apparently.
Next time you'll be getting her mixed up with Nancy Drew.
Oh yeah, sure, yeah, why not? Nancy O'Dell, I'll just call her a random other Nancy every week from now on. Well, with that, thank you everyone for watching. Thank you, Nancy Kerrigan and Nancy O'Dell and Nancy, no, not Nancy Reagan, she's passed. Thank everyone.
Nancy Grace.
Nancy Grace. Thank you all for watching, and we will see you again next week.